Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
By definition, chemistry is how stuff interacts with other stuff. We know that 2 parts hydrogen works really well with 1 part oxygen, and that basketball teams with Steve Nash or Mikal Bridges are generally going to be a pretty happy crew. But in Arizona, have we ever seen a Cardinals team this connected? Already this offseason, Mac Wilson Sr. has hosted a charity basketball game. Kyler Murray has hosted a softball game with epic turnout. Buda Baker even staged a bowling event, and you can't help but notice the fresh vibe around our NFL team. Maybe it's Monty Ossenfort drafting the right kind of football players. Maybe it's the candor and the consistency of Jonathan Gannon, a head coach who clearly has the trust of his players. But it's a marked difference from Kyler Murray's early years, a time marked by politics and backstabbing and anonymous quotes. Now the vibe is immaculate, and the excitement is building because we know the Suns have had some fabulous chemistry experiments in their long history, and the Diamondbacks have taught us that a connected team is a dangerous team. And now we're all going to find out what great chemistry might mean on a football team and whether it's time to freaking party! All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
It's intentional just because, like I said, we got new additions on the team, especially in the DB core, young guys. So just for them to understand who we are and kind of have that communication outside of football is definitely something special. For example, yesterday we went to bowling. The DBs, and did a bowling event at the main event yesterday. Had a great time bowling, talking smack to each other, just building that camaraderie and understanding who we are outside of football as well. We're all competitive. We had a really great time, and come into work this morning, see the same guys, and continue to grind and communicate and do all the things necessary for us to be a good football team. But it definitely is special to have that camaraderie outside of football as well.
Buda Baker talking with the media yesterday out at the Cardinals headquarters. Little team building, a little good old fashioned male bonding. Mm-hmm. Getting together at the bowling alley, talking smack to each other. It certainly, I think you hit on something here. It certainly seems like, this level of connection / chemistry, whatever you want to call it, is at a high point right now going into this season. Mm-hmm. And I think it kind of coincides with the belief level growing of this football team as well. And Buda Baker, he's not speaking out of school because he's been through it. This is the 4th head coach he's played for as an Arizona Cardinal. He's played for 4 different defensive coordinators. So he's kind of seen the changes in the organization from when he first got here. He's going into his 9th year, by the way, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
Here was Buda Baker yesterday also talking about how he views the culture changing with the organization.
Yeah, I've seen it evolve so much, going from BA to Steve Wilkes to Cliff Kingsbury to now, JG. I've seen it evolve so much, just the way that, first and foremost, we play football, just the different schemes that we have. And now with this certain set of coaches, just the amount of understanding of the football game that we have, and how we approach each and every day, how we win games with motor and violence. And JG does a great job of kind of telling us what we should do, and listening to him, that's how we are able to be better each and every game, be better as a team. But now that we have great players, great additions, I'm definitely excited for the future.
Yeah, again, he's seen it all.
Listen, and so the BA, you go back to that BA team with Carson Palmer and Fitz and that great secondary room that they had. Mm-hmm. That team had really good chemistry, but that chemistry was all born from success. What's different about this chemistry, and why I say that we might not have seen a football team here as connected as this one on the professional level, is because this is a regime coming off 2 consecutive losing seasons and 2 dreadful NFLPA report cards. So to have this kind of togetherness, and you know how teams work, man. Guys don't go and have bowling events and softball games and charity basketball games if they know that there's going to be bad turnout, and if they're on a team where there's cliques and there's guys who don't like dudes and there's tension and there's smoke, and they're not doing that kind of stuff. Just the fact that all these things have been taking place is a sure sign that this team is cut a little differently, that they really kind of trust and enjoy each other. And I'm excited to see where it's all going, to be honest with you. Now, the quarterback's going to have to hold up his end of the deal. Because if I'm talking in the context of can this football team have a magical season, like that debut year with Steve Nash in 04-05, or like the Twins and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, to me, I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and going back to your point on the quarterback's going to hold up his end of the bargain, totally agree. And we were kind of having the discussion a little bit earlier in the show about, this defense is now, for the first time under Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rawlis, well-equipped to compete in the NFC West and in the NFC for a playoff position. It's almost like the offense is being asked not to do more with less, but to do more with the same. At least that's the way it kind of shakes out now. And look, is it possible that they can make a leap? Yes. You're counting on comfort and scheme growing, comfort from your quarterback growing, individual players stepping up, looking at guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson to step up and become that. But that's one of the big questions on the offense I have going in is how much room is there until their head hits the ceiling with basically the same cast of characters?
When I talk about chemistry and how it applies to a football team, this is why I think it's going to be interesting to see if this is going to actually lead to something on a football field. Football players and the sport is so violent and so painful, and your career can end on any given play. The best teams in the NFL are the teams that are fighting their hardest in the fourth quarter because they believe, because they're fighting for each other, because they believe in management, because every box is checked. If every box isn't checked, you're not going to get everybody pushing 100 miles an hour in the same direction. And it makes a real big difference on a football field.
I would agree.
And so it'll be curious to me to see how that element applies to this team. Because if they've got the requisite talent now on top of the attitude that they've displayed the last couple of years, and if that attitude has only gotten better and the team has only gotten closer, then it could be magical.
Budda Baker, like we said, going into year 9, so he was part of that team in 2021 that made it to the playoffs and then exited the playoffs in painful and, quite honestly, embarrassing fashion. But Budda talked about having that itch to get back to that level.
Oh, the itch level has been there since my rookie year. I'm heading into year 9. I always tell everybody I'm very competitive. I'll be mad if you beat me in rock, paper, scissors. So just being able to get in those very important postseason games is definitely something in my career that I want to do, and I've always wanted to do it, but this year especially, it's another year to get better, and a year where I think we have the players and playmakers to do so, but we got to put the work in, and as long as we do that, I think at the end of the year it'll be looking fine.
Not only is Budda Baker going into year 9, but let's look back at year 8 for him. There's no visible drop off in his game. When he's been healthy, he was a demon last year. I mean, and for the way that he plays the game, and Tim talking about his itch level, which you might view it a different way based on the terminology, but he's still got that same competitive fire that he had when he came into the league, when he opened up everybody's eyes. Like, this guy shouldn't be playing the way he plays at that size, and here we are, almost a decade into it, and he's still got it.
Well, it's his motor, and he's always going to have that. Yep. It's just, as long as he's healthy and in his prime, he's going to be that player. And yeah, look, I'm just glad that the whole Budda Baker dissatisfaction with the team, the trade rumors, the trade requests, I'm glad we're out of the tunnel and out of the other end on that.
Yep.
That's good. That's a good ending for a guy like Budda Baker.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.